Welcome back to our series on living in Christ-centered fearlessness. Today I'm going to talk about the second of three principles that will totally allow you to pull your mind immediately away from fearful thoughts, anxiety, worry, things like that, and set your thoughts on things that are worthwhile. And so if you missed the last video, I really encourage you to go back and take a look at that so that you can kind of catch up, because there are three of these things that really go together. So once you understand that it's your responsibility to submit to the instruction, the command to fear not, well, then what? Then what are you going to do with your brain, right? Well, first of all, let me stress something. And I'm going to use three scriptures. I'm just going to read them real quick. Colossians says, "Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things." Philippians 4:8 says, "Fill your mind with beauty and truth." Joshua 1:8 says, "Meditate on the book of the law day and night." Did you hear those phrases? Set your mind, fill your minds, meditate on. In other words, we choose our thoughts. Now, at first that might seem like such a no-brainer. Of course we choose our thoughts. But you know what? When it comes to fear, I think so often we get caught in this assumption that, well, I can't help it if I worry. Well, I can't help it if I'm afraid. That's a scary thing. And we just assume that our thoughts are going to go wherever they go and we have very little control over them. But that's false. We choose our own thoughts, and we are taught by the Lord over and over to meditate on things that are worthwhile. Now, what I don't want you to do is start picturing someone, who's meditating with their eyes closed and their Bible open and whatnot. What the Lord is talking about here is that meditation, that communication that can go on with the Lord all day, 24/7, where our minds are set on Him first and foremost, even if we're at our desk doing a job or changing diapers or watching the kids or the grandkids or driving to work. No matter what we're doing, we are first and foremost locked in to the Lord. That's where our thoughts are going. We all have moments, lots of moments maybe, where fearful thoughts squabble for our attention. They holler for our attention in our mind. But here's what I want you to grasp. They can only have our attention if we grant it. We must grant that. Now, the reason that this sounds so much easier said than done is only because we get so used to giving our attention to fear the moment that first little inkling of fear shows up. We're so used to doing that it becomes really hard to imagine not doing that. But it is our choice. We have to grant fear our attention, or it can't have it. And that's where this principle comes in. Look away. In other words, take your attention, take control of it, it's yours, and put it somewhere else. Now, please understand that when I say look away, I'm not saying pretend that the situation no longer exists. This isn't about denial or pretending something's not there. What it is, it's about taking fear out of the equation. It's about separating the fear from the circumstance that is causing you fear. Now, if you're anything like me, or how I was, there were so many areas of life that were completely entwined with fear for me that I didn't know quite how to separate them. So what I'm asking you to do is to believe now that you can take that fear and untangle it from those circumstances, so that you might still have a circumstance that you need to deal with, something that is an issue, something that's a problem, but you're able to look away from the fear, which rips fear out of the equation, and now you can handle this minus the terror. We must start to understand that a problem and the fear that normally surrounds it are two separate things. Say that. Repeat that after me. The problem and the fear that surrounds it are two separate things. Therefore, it is entirely possible to remove the fear. So here's a metaphor that really worked for me to understand what the Lord was talking about and asking me to do when he said, look away, look away. All right. Imagine you're driving down the road. Excuse me. Spring is in the air and it's kind of messing with me. I so hope it's warm wherever you are because today is so gorgeous here. I can barely stand it. But if I sound hoarse, that's why. All right. So you're driving down the road and traffic kind of starts slowing down, and then you see some blue lights, and then you see some red lights, and you realize, uh-oh, there's an accident. You know how those things happen and traffic grinds to a halt. So you're driving really slowly, and you realize, oh gosh, that looks like a body bag. Oh my goodness, that car's a mess. You know what? As I get closer, I'm not going to look because that's going to kind of mess me up. That's going to mess with my brain. That's going to keep me up all night. I'm not going to look. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not tempting to look. If it weren't tempting to look, traffic wouldn't grind to a halt every time somebody changes a tire. But you just keep driving and you keep looking forward. You have got a choice. Now, if you give in to that compulsion to look, that's all it's going to take. One little tiny glance, and that scene is in your mind. You've engaged, but you don't have to look, do you? Remember this, as long as you don't engage, it has no power over you. Same thing with a fearful thought. As long as you don't engage, it has no power over you. It is completely powerless. It does not call the shots. You call the shots. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that the second principle is look away. That fearful thought is going to be there. Those things are going to pop up. They're going to squabble for your attention. It's your choice if you engage or if you look away. Think for a minute about what might happen while you're driving past that accident scene. There are suddenly potholes all over the road. There are police officers in the road directing you as to where to go. There are maybe orange cones set up here and there. Okay, it's going to be a lot easier for you to keep driving because you now have something else to focus on. If it's all just free and clear up here, it's going to be more tempting to look this way. But if you're suddenly very engaged and very busy in front of you because you don't want to drive into a pothole or run over a police officer, then it's going to be much easier to set your mind on the correct things instead of the wrong things, right? Well, fear is the exact same way. If you're not going to engage over here, great, but then what do you engage with, right? Well, that's the third principle, so don't miss the next video because that's where we're going next. And these three principles put together are extremely powerful. Here's our takeaway. After years and years, perhaps of giving your thoughts to fear and to anxiety and to worry, no matter how much it might feel like, you don't have much control over that. The ball is absolutely in your court. You choose your thoughts. You decide what you're going to engage with. The things that torment you or the things that bring light and life. Fear does not ever bring light and life. In the meantime, if you're local, if you want personal teaching on this entire series, send me an email to doulos214@hotmail.com and let me know that you want to be a part of the next 8-week series. It takes place at my house. It's starting the first Tuesday of May and will go through June. And I'm going to offer an afternoon class and an evening class. So email and tell me which one you want to be a part of. Also, please join this Facebook group to be a part of the discussion. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up with this series and you can step out of fear more and more every week. I'm going to try to put a video up every single week, so don't miss one, okay? Until next time, woman of God, grab hold of fearlessness. Don't let go. It's your inheritance.